The desperate escape rain pelted against Olivia Nakamura's face as she ran down the crowded streets of San Francisco, her elaborate wedding dress now sodden and muddied at the hem. The 25-year-old Japanese-American woman had just made the most impulsive decision of her otherwise meticulously planned life, abandoning her wedding to Hiroshi Tanaka, heir to the Tanaka Technologies empire. "I can't do this," she had whispered to herself in the bridal suite, the weight of family obligation crushing her chest. Her parents had arranged the marriage, insisting it would secure the future of their struggling restaurant chain. Hiroshi was wealthy, respectable, and completely indifferent to her existence beyond what she represented, a strategic alliance. The rain intensified as Olivia ducked into the revolving door of a sleek glass building. Clutching her small emergency bag, she had prepared it 3 days ago, a subconscious admission that she might flee. Inside were her passport, some cash, a change of clothes, and a photograph of her grandmother, the only family member who had told her to follow her heart. "Can I help you?" asked a puzzled receptionist eyeing the bedraggled bride. "I'm here for the interview," Olivia improvised, noticing a sign about job openings. Her heart hammered in her chest. The receptionist looked confused but made a phone call. "There's a woman here for the personal assistant position. She's early." She hung up and pointed to the elevator. "Floor 18, Ms. Reynolds," Olivia lied, using her mother's maiden name, Olivia Reynolds. Minutes later, she found herself sitting across from a man who introduced himself as James Whitaker. He appeared to be in his late 30s, with kind eyes that crinkled at the corners and salt and pepper hair that suggested premature graying. "You're not on my schedule," he said, studying her with curiosity rather than suspicion. "There must have been a mix-up," Olivia said, desperately trying to appear composed despite her disheveled appearance. "I can come back another time." "No need," James replied. "Since you're here, we might as well talk. Though I must say your attire is rather formal for an interview." A nervous laugh escaped her lips. "It's a long story." "I enjoy long stories," he said with a gentle smile. "But first, tell me why you want this position." The genuine interest in his voice caught Olivia off guard. When was the last time someone had actually cared about what she wanted? "I need a fresh start," she answered honestly. "And I'm very organized, detail-oriented, and I learn quickly." James nodded, seeming to consider something beyond her words. "Can you start tomorrow?" Olivia blinked, certain she had misheard. "You're offering me the job?" "Just like that?" "Sometimes the best decisions aren't the most conventional ones," James said. "Besides, anyone determined enough to show up for an interview in a wedding dress deserves consideration, don't you think?" For the first time that day, Olivia felt the tightness in her chest loosen. Whatever storm she had just created by running from her wedding, she had somehow found an unexpected shelter. "Thank you," she whispered. "I won't let you down." As she left the building with an employee badge and contract in hand, Olivia had no idea that her impulsive escape had just led her to something far more significant than a mere job. A shelter in the storm 2 weeks into her new job, Olivia stepped into Whitaker Consulting's modern office with a sense of growing confidence. Her borrowed desk faced east, catching the morning light that streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows. Gone was the wedding dress, replaced by a modest navy blue blazer and pencil skirt she'd purchased with her first paycheck. "Morning. Ms. Reynolds," called Prisha, the receptionist who had unwittingly become Olivia's accomplice on that rainy day. "Mr. Whitaker would like to see you in his office." Olivia nodded, gathering her tablet and stepping toward the corner office where James Whitaker worked. Despite the position's title of personal assistant, James had given her substantial responsibilities already. Analyzing financial reports, coordinating with clients, and even sitting in on strategy meetings. "You wanted to see me?" she asked, stepping into his minimalist space. James looked up from his computer, those kind eyes crinkling. "Yes, please have a seat." He gestured to the chair across from him. "How are you settling in?" "Very well," Olivia replied, folding her hands in her lap to hide their slight trembling. Every day she expected to be discovered, either by her furious parents, her abandoned fiancé, or by James himself realizing she was living a lie. "Good. I'm impressed with your work on the Thompson portfolio." He leaned back in his chair. "Though I've noticed you never mention your past employment or, well, anything about your life before you arrived here." Olivia's throat tightened. "I prefer to focus on the present." James studied her for a long moment. The present is shaped by the past, Olivia, but I respect your privacy. He slid a folder across the desk. I'd like you to join me for a foundation meeting tonight. Foundation? She questioned, opening the folder to find information about something called the Phoenix Initiative. My personal project. We provide resources for people starting over, whether from abusive situations, financial disasters, or other circumstances requiring a fresh beginning. His expression remained neutral, but his words felt pointed. Everyone deserves a second chance, don't you think? That evening, Olivia found herself in a converted warehouse in a quieter part of the city. The space had been transformed into a community center with classrooms, a kitchen, and offices. James introduced her to several staff members who clearly respected him deeply. This is Diego, James said, introducing a young man with bright eyes and a scar across his jaw. He runs our culinary training program. Mr. Whitaker gave me a job in his corporate cafeteria when nobody else would hire an ex-con, Diego explained, shaking Olivia's hand warmly. Now I help others build careers in the food industry. Throughout the evening, Olivia met person after person whose lives had been transformed by James's quiet generosity. A woman named Bethany who had escaped domestic violence and now ran the shelter program. Marcus, who had lost everything in a financial scam and now taught financial literacy. Why do you do all this? Olivia asked as James drove her back to her modest apartment. He was silent for a moment. My mother left an abusive marriage with nothing but me and a suitcase when I was 7. Someone helped us start over. I'm just passing it forward. For the first time since her escape, Olivia felt a sense of security washing over her. Perhaps she wasn't just hiding. Maybe she was exactly where she needed to be. Thank you for bringing me tonight, she said softly. Everyone has a story, Olivia, James replied, stopping at a red light and turning to look at her. Someday I hope you'll feel safe enough to share yours. As she entered her small apartment that night, Olivia caught sight of a newspaper on her neighbor's doormat. The headline made her blood freeze. Tanaka family offers reward for information on missing bride. Her shelter in the storm suddenly felt much less secure. Shadows of the past, the newspaper headline haunted Olivia for days. Each time her phone rang with an unknown number, her heart leaped to her throat. Walking to work, she found herself scanning faces in the crowd, half expecting to see Hiroshi's stern features or her father's disappointed scowl. You seem distracted, James commented one afternoon as they reviewed quarterly projections. His voice carried genuine concern rather than criticism. Just tired, she lied, though fatigue was indeed wearing her down. Nightmares had begun disrupting her sleep. Dreams where she was dragged back to the altar in handcuffs while society elites watched and whispered. James nodded, not pressing further. I was wondering if you'd accompany me to a charity gala this weekend. The Phoenix Initiative is being honored, and I could use your organizational skills to navigate the evening. The thought of a public event sent panic coursing through Olivia's veins. I don't have anything appropriate to wear, she demurred, thinking of her limited wardrobe. That's easily solved. He handed her a company credit card. Consider it a business expense. The foundation needs proper representation. Saturday evening found Olivia in a modest emerald gown, her hair styled in an elegant updo different from anything she'd worn before. As James's car pulled up to the Grand Meridian Hotel, she reminded herself that no one from her previous life would be at a local charity event. The ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and San Francisco's philanthropic elite. James moved through the crowd with practiced ease, introducing Olivia as his invaluable colleague. He too noticed how people spoke of him with a reverence that seemed disproportionate to the owner of a mid-sized consulting firm. Mr. Whitaker is being modest about his contributions, whispered Eleanor Reeves, chairwoman of the hospital board. He's funded our children's wing anonymously for years. Similar comments followed throughout the evening. By the time they reached their table, Olivia was piecing together a very different picture of her employer than the humble businessman he presented himself as. You're quite the mystery, James Whitaker, she said quietly as they took their seats. A slight smile played at his lips. We all have our stories. The evening progressed pleasantly until Olivia excused herself to the powder room. As she was returning, a conversation from a nearby alcove froze her in place. Absolutely certain it's her, came a familiar voice. Olivia Nakamura, the Tanaka bride who disappeared. Peering around a column, Olivia spotted her mother's cousin, Hideo, speaking to a woman with a notebook, a reporter. Panic seized her chest as Hideo continued. The Tanakas are furious. They've hired private investigators. It's only a matter of time. Olivia retreated quickly, nearly colliding with a waiter. Returning to the table, she found her hands shaking uncontrollably. "We need to leave," she whispered to James. His eyes sharpened immediately. "What's wrong?" "Someone here knows who I am." Without hesitation, James made their excuses and guided her through a service exit. In the car, Olivia finally broke down, the weeks of tension cracking her composure. "I ran away from my wedding," she confessed between sobs. "My parents arranged a marriage to Hiroshi Tanaka. His family owns Tanaka Technologies." "I'm familiar with them," James interrupted, his expression unreadable. "And now they're looking for you." Olivia nodded miserably. "I couldn't go through with it. It was a business arrangement, not a marriage. I wasn't even a person to him, just a convenient social alliance." James drove in silence for several minutes. Finally, he spoke. "My penthouse has a secure guest suite. You'll stay there tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure out next steps." "Why are you helping me?" Olivia asked, wiping tears away. "You barely know me." "Perhaps," James replied, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. "But I recognize courage when I see it." As they drove through the night, Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that James Whittaker was hiding secrets of his own, secrets that might prove even more surprising than hers. Revelations. Morning sun filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of James's penthouse, casting warm rectangles across the polished hardwood floors. Olivia sat at the kitchen island, clutching a mug of green tea, her eyes red-rimmed from a night of fitful sleep. The guest suite had been luxurious but unfamiliar, each creak and distant sound startling her awake. "I've made some calls," James announced, entering the kitchen in casual weekend attire. Dark jeans and a light blue button-down that made him look younger, less like an executive. "My security team will ensure the building remains private. No one will find you here unless you want to be found." "Security team?" Olivia questioned. "James, who are you really?" He sighed, pouring himself coffee from an elaborate machine. "I suppose it's time for honesty between us." Settling across from her, he continued. "My full name is Jonathan Blackwood Whittaker III. The name struck Olivia like a physical blow. Everyone knew the Blackwood fortune, old money that had transformed into new with smart tech investments in the early 2000s. The family was notoriously private, with the current heir reportedly shunning publicity entirely. "You're that Blackwood?" she managed. "I use Whittaker professionally. Fewer expectations, fewer fortune hunters." His expression remained steady. "Now you understand why I recognized the Tanaka name immediately. Our families have crossed paths in business." Olivia's mind raced. "The consulting firm is one of many ventures. The Phoenix Initiative is my primary focus." He studied her reaction carefully. "Does this change things between us?" The question carried weight beyond its simple words. Olivia considered the past weeks, how James had never flaunted wealth or position, how he treated everyone from cleaning staff to executives with equal respect. "No," she decided aloud. "You're still the person who helped me when I had nowhere to go." Relief visibly softened his features. 3 years ago, I decided to find someone who would value connection over convenience, authenticity over advantage. I've dated women who wanted Jonathan Blackwood's fortune, and others who enjoyed James Whittaker's company, but would have been disappointed to learn he wasn't wealthy. Either scenario felt real. Olivia understood with sudden clarity. "So you created a test, not intentionally." "But yes, living as James Whittaker showed me people's true characters." His eyes met hers. "Then you burst into my office in a wedding dress, clearly running from something, yet determined to stand on your own feet." The moment hung between them, charged with unspoken possibility. Before Olivia could respond, James's phone chimed. His expression darkened as he read the message. "Hiroshi Tanaka is downstairs demanding to see you." Panic flashed through Olivia. "How did he—" "The charity event. Someone must have recognized you and contacted him." James stood. "You have choices, Olivia. I can have security remove him. You can speak with him with me present. Or, I need to face him," she interrupted, surprising herself with her resolve. "But I'd like you with me." 20 minutes later, Hiroshi Tanaka stood rigidly in James's living room, his tailored suit as impeccable as his controlled expression. At 32, he embodied corporate precision, handsome in a manufactured way that now seemed hollow to Olivia. "You've embarrassed my family," were his first words to her. "Your parents are devastated." "I'm sorry for the public spectacle," Olivia replied, finding strength in James's steady presence beside her. "But I'm not sorry for refusing a loveless arrangement." Hiroshi's gaze shifted to James, recognition dawning. "Blackwood. This is unexpected interference." "Ms. Nakamura made her choice independently," James responded coolly. "I merely provided opportunity." "This is a family matter," Hiroshi insisted. "No," Olivia interjected. "This is my life. Not a business merger, not a family obligation. Mine." The certainty in her voice seemed to finally penetrate Hiroshi's composure. For a brief moment, something like regret flickered across his features. "You never gave me a chance to know you," he said. More quietly. "Neither did you," she countered. As tension filled the room, Olivia realized that facing Hiroshi had dissolved the last of her fear. Whatever came next would be her choice, not her escape. Finding home, the confrontation with Hiroshi marked a turning point. After his departure, stiff and formal but without the threats Olivia had feared, she stood at the penthouse windows, gazing over the San Francisco skyline. The city that had been her hiding place now felt like something else entirely. A beginning. "What happens now?" she asked, sensing James approaching behind her. "That depends entirely on you," he replied, standing beside her with hands clasped behind his back. "Your secret's out. The Tanakas know where you are, which means your family will soon know too." Olivia nodded, watching a ferry cross the bay. "I should call my parents. They deserve to hear my voice even if they don't understand my choices." And after that, the question hung between them. Not just about her immediate plans, but something more profound. James, or Jonathan, though she still thought of him as James, had revealed himself fully to her. The balance between them had shifted. "I need to find my own path," she said slowly. "Not as a Tanaka bride, not as someone in hiding, and not—" She turned to face him. "Not as someone dependent on your generosity." A flash of disappointment crossed his features before understanding replaced it. "I respect that decision. I'd like to continue working for Whitaker Consulting," she clarified. "But I need my own apartment, my own life. If something develops between us, it should happen because we choose it freely, not because circumstances threw us together." The smile that spread across James's face was genuine. I'd expect nothing less from the woman who walked into a job interview in a wedding dress. The following weeks unfolded in a whirlwind of difficult conversations and new beginnings. Olivia's parents initially refused her calls, then reluctantly agreed to meet. The reunion in a neutral coffee shop was tense but not hostile. Her father stoic, her mother tearful but ultimately relieved to see her daughter safe and determined. "You could have told us you were so unhappy," her mother said, clutching her teacup. "Would you have listened?" Olivia asked gently. Her father's silence was answer enough, but the slight softening around his eyes gave her hope for eventual reconciliation. At work, Olivia insisted on maintaining professional boundaries. She moved into a modest apartment in a diverse neighborhood she loved, filling it with second-hand furniture and plants. James respected her space, though their working relationship deepened with her increased involvement in the Phoenix Initiative. 3 months after her confrontation with Hiroshi, Olivia sat across from Bethany in the Foundation's community center, interviewing a young woman who had fled an abusive home. "You're safe here," Olivia assured her. "I know it doesn't feel that way yet, but this is a place for new beginnings." Later, as she gathered her notes, James appeared in the doorway. "That was beautifully handled," he commented. "You have a gift for this work." "Speaking from experience helps," she replied, smiling. "Both personal and professional." They walked together toward the exit, their steps naturally falling into sync. Outside, the late afternoon sun bathed the street in golden light. "Would you like to have dinner tonight?" James asked casually. Not as boss and employee, just as James and Olivia. She studied him, this complex man who had given her space to find herself, who built foundations for others' fresh starts while hiding his own identity, who looked at her with patience and something deeper in his eyes. Yes, she decided, I'd like that very much. As they walked down the street, Olivia realized that sometimes life's wrong turns, a desperate escape, an accidental interview, led precisely where one needed to go. She had entered the wrong door that rainy day, but somehow found exactly the right path. "You know," she said, "I never properly thanked you for hiring me that day." James smiled, his hand finding hers naturally. "And I never properly thanked you for showing me what courage looks like." The city bustled around them, full of people rushing toward destinations unknown. But Olivia and James walked unhurried, two people who had found in each other not just romance, but recognition, the rare understanding that comes when someone sees you completely and values what they find. After running away from a future others had chosen, Olivia had finally found one worth walking toward, step by deliberate step, with someone who walked beside her rather than ahead. It wasn't an ending, but rather the beginning of a story entirely their own.